I am Jacob Brugger, and I attend Mosaic Community Church. I grew up in a small country town in Adrian, Michigan. I was raised by Christian parents, and my parents were also raised by Christian parents as well. So it's easy to say that I grew up in church my whole life. We were at church every single Sunday, every single Wednesday as well. And if there was anything in between those days, we were most likely at church. But growing up in the church, at first I had a misconception of what a relationship with God meant and what it was supposed to look like. I viewed a relationship with God as something that I had to work for, as something that I had to earn just God's favor by the way that I obeyed Him. That really caused me to really struggle with shame and also with this guilt that I could never measure up to what God wanted me to be. I knew everything that I should do. I knew everything that I shouldn't do, just growing up in church. And just being able to see so many different people model what a life or what a relationship with God looked like, I found myself often discouraged and really struggling to see how I could even have a relationship with God. And because of that, I started to look for acceptance, and I started to look for just the immediate pleasures that I could find in sin. And then within that, I got caught up in pornography. I first looked at pornography when I was in 5th grade, and then that really took a hold of my heart in 7th grade. And I quickly became addicted to that, to where all I would want is, at the end of the day, I always looked forward to that time where I had to really throw myself into that. Until my sophomore year in high school, which is when I told my youth pastor just about that struggle. I had a meeting with him, and in that time, he shared his experiences just with sin. And through him sharing that, it was almost like I had a renewed hope or even perspective on what it looked like to have a relationship with God. When God really prompted me to go talk to Him about this, that was not only something that was refreshing in the moment, but it was so evident that God put Him in my life for a reason. My youth pastor was my best friend at that time, and one thing that I know I'm very one thing I know that I'm very blessed in is having a youth pastor who was with me all 6 years that I was in the youth group, because at that time came to faith in Christ in that conversation with my youth pastor. I'll say there was a solid 6 months of no pornography, of anything, to that degree. But then temptation came knocking again. And so I fell back in, and I firmly believe now, looking back, that I struggled with it so even worse after that, because I never admitted that I was truly addicted. In 2021, I was considering going back to school for education, actually. I was working a secular job, and I just, I wasn't content. We're praying for quite a while at that point that we needed a transition, that where we were at, we're very thankful for, but we knew that we needed to transition into another, just into another church. And our heart's always been Joliet. We never knew how God would make it possible for us to be in Joliet or just to be in this area. But by God's grace, we were able to live here for a few years. I was able to get used to non-country life here quite a bit, especially just through the job that I was able to work. And so God opened up a door. He opened up the door of the Mosaic position. God knew that Miriam and I needed Mosaic community. One of the first things that stuck out to me when I came to Mosaic was the students' maturity and the students' relationships with one another too. To be open and honest, I actually found myself at times praying and asking God why He brought me here, just because these students were incredible. You know, they were so mature, and you know, just a group of students that I've never experienced before. And so it really was a humbling thing, you know, where God was like, you know, telling me that I brought you here for a reason. You know, stop looking at it from your eyes, from your perspective. You know, and so yeah, I think the biggest thing has just been seeing their love for Jesus, their conviction to share the gospel, and just their passion to be with one another. Coming to Mosaic and having the leadership and the teaching, specifically just from Pastor Eric and Pastor Darren, has really blessed me so much of knowing what I believe and why I believe it. I would say that Mosaic community is a church that you most likely have never experienced before. It's a church that is going to care for you and love you. It's going to welcome you. It's a church that you have never experienced before, if I'm talking to myself, because the beautiful diversity at Mosaic is something that I unfortunately have never experienced before until now, and I thank God for that. And so just overall, whether it's from that, the welcoming atmosphere, to the discipleship. As you continue to come to Mosaic community, you're going to see just more and more of God revealing Himself to you in clear ways, and you're going to grow in your faith like you've never grown before.